We wanted to talk about hybrids today. Is there a place that they wanted to take you to or a collective that would like to come in?
Yes, so the Grays did come in.
Perfect. Why did the Grays decide to come in today?
It's because Carrie's most represented them with the understanding that they're a species that is no longer able to produce on their own. And um, they're showing that the Grays did work with my grandmother and uh, in gaining information as to what was going on this planet.
So, just for our viewers watching, would you be able to tell us what that experience was? If not, it's fine too.
With my grandmother,
Yes.
yes, she was abducted several times about 30 years ago, and she was connected. She's Octurian, and she was connected with the Greys, and she was a first wave volunteer, and she came here to be an observer and to she had a lot of her gifts still here on earth, like even though she came here, and she was giving information to the collectives as to what the earth experience was going on at that time, because they didn't have an understanding of what was going on during that time of earth. And yeah, so she communicated with the Octurians, she communicated with the Greys. They're showing me the mantis being she worked with, and she was very consciously aware of her experiences on the ships when she was taken up to the ships.
So, I think that's a great place to start because I think a lot of people see Grays as um more negative beings, or at least some people do. But what I've noticed, especially working with clients, is that like a lot of Octurians, a lot of star seeds, they have contracts with these Greys. So why are the Greys so invested with human beings? For anybody new to this information.
Well, they're invested because, for one, they can like their frequency can match human beings a little bit more. And so, because they are heightened, enlightened beings, but they're also like the lower level of their frequency. And so they can actually interact with the humans, and it's not so uncomfortable for them to be in this atmosphere. Like heightened other enlightened beings, they come down to this atmosphere and it's very uncomfortable in their physical bodies, and they send, usually a lot of the interactions they have are holographic in nature, and the fact that that's not actually their physical bodies that are here on earth. And so the Greys were also used because it's not as physically uncomfortable for them to be here on a 3D planet. They were used in a lot of the cosmic disclosure. They were volunteers, and some of them that crashed and lost their lives here on Earth, to be able to show, in the human experience, to be able to show that there are beings beyond the existence of humanity. And so they did self-sacrifice in a lot of those ways and do a lot of the communication in working together with humanity. And they also have ceased to be able to, in their experience of evolution, this specific uh, uh, gray collective that is visiting right now, um, is they are not able to physically reproduce anymore. And so, because genetically they are comfortable being here in the 3D, they're using a lot of the genetics of the animals, the humans, to be able to continue their existence and to evolve. And so, they're actually creating a new hybrid species, which is, part human, part gray, that is bringing forth evolution of their genetics.
Well, that's a beautiful way to put it. I actually never thought of it that way. That the grays that crash landed here, like the ones in New Mexico and the ones that we've seen from the government, I never thought of that of being like a contract with the collective, but that makes so much sense.
Yeah, yeah. And, when you don't realize you have a soul contract and you've been abducted by a gray, and you don't realize it is something that you actually contracted with them, it can seem as a human experience to be a very traumatic thing, because what a lot of the times you remember are the tools, or you know being on a ship and being a part of a surgery or something like that. It can be traumatic because you're remembering that part and you're not remembering the fact that you contracted with the grays to be able to continue forth their evolution. And so when you look at it from a higher perspective, that it was something you willingly did as an act of love and an act of like help, like that, that's where the remembrance part and understanding and the higher perspective. But we, like, they're saying, like, they understand, like, that they can seem like the bad guys and like they're the evil scientists that are, taking unwilling like patients, but at all reality, those are also awakening experiences, and the reasons why those memories are left with the beings that have been abducted, is what we would call it. They are to, and like, they're purposeful as well to awaken them, that usually if you have stepped forward to experience that and to have that contract, that you are a galactic being in nature. And so it's an awakening experience too, to connect you to your guides, to understanding that you are a galactic in your soul signature frequency.
Yeah, so for anybody listening to this that thinks that they may have been abducted, that they've had these experiences, how can they learn more about the soul contracts that they have with them?
If you feel a resonance that you have had those experiences, that just connect with your team, start to ask the questions, start to ask, like, to experience what what that is about. And also hypnosis is very, regression is very uh good in unveiling these things and having a session, because you all those things, all the ego steps back and doesn't try to control the narrative, and you're able to unveil those understandings of why you had that experience. Many of you have had and carried what would seem like normal pregnancies, and pregnancies within what you would think your partner on 3D is. And those pregnancies can be actually hybrid babies that you would think were the genetics of your partner, but they are really hybrid babies that are helping for evolution. You see that a lot with the younger children now. They're able to hold higher frequencies because there has been what you would say manipulation, but that's not really the term, but and tampering is not the term. Let's see. Like, there has been help, assistance, if you will, during your pregnancies for the genetic evolution of humanity.
So when these things happen, when this assistance is given, are people aware that these things are happening, or is it taken, like, I guess, how does it work? Like, is this physically, like, physical assistance? Is it through their energy body? Could you just explain the process to me a little bit more?
Both. It can be both. But what they're showing is there are a lot of beings that have energetic bodies that have a cord to your physical body. So the energetic body is actually on a ship, and it's like this big room. It's kind of like a filing cabinet, if you will. And you pull out the filing cabinet, and there's an energetic body in there. And like, there's a cord connecting to the physical body on Earth. And so up on those ships, they're able to do a lot of the manipulation and the energy work and everything on a being. And because it's connected with that energetic, like, umbilical cord, if you will, to the physical body here on Earth, that it transfers.
So I heard that when volunteers first started coming, there was a lot of miscarriages because the baby was at such a high frequency compared to that of its mother. So was this to help the mother be able to carry these children?
Yeah, so it's all an experiment. We're always working on things. So at it's to like those frequencies were not aligned. Plus, they found out that a lot of the having children would create more karma, and they were here as the first wave, and there was already a lot that they were experiencing. And so when they realized that some of this was causing more karma, and we weren't like, we were ill equipped, if you will, in being able to have those experiences, that those terminations happened. It was also to allow the beings that were going to come as second waves come and just have like a small little experience to energetically get comfortable with Earth.
That makes sense. So I've heard that too, that a lot of like light workers and star seeds, they don't want to have children because of the karma it will create. How come having a child creates karma? I've actually always had that question.
So it's creates karma because there's no, like, if you will, perfect way to have a kid. So you like, it's showing me like, hold on. So as a parent, like, you make mistakes. You make, I guess, is what you can perceive as mistakes. But especially in, like, they're showing me like the divorce rates and everything going on right now, and the separation of families during this time is so important, as why karma is, because this, where you're at in the cycle of humanity, is not one that's conducive to a family unit. And so by causing all those traumas to another being, that it creates a lot of karma. And so it's like, if it was during a cycle of humanity's existence where family unit was supported and nurtured and in a healthy way, that you wouldn't actually, by having children, accrue as much karma. But because of the time when the uh, volunteers volunteered to come here, it, like, that cycle of humanity being a family unit was cycling out. And so you're having, all these like divorces, traumas, violence, because as a light worker, you signed up, as a volunteer, you signed up for very impactful lives. So, which meant that you endured a lot of trauma yourself. Within your own families, within your own childhood, within your own experiences, that you were equipped for, to, cut those ties, to forgive, to come to a place like more authentic alignment with yourself, to be in neutral, so that that karma would be wiped out. By having those traumas, before you were able to clear those traumas and those programming, if you had children, it would continue on to them and create their own even more traumas and programmings. And so that's why when you have children, especially during this time of cycling, that it was not conducive to, like, the karma. If you didn't do your inner work and you didn't awaken, you would then, it was like a ripple effect, create more and more karma. So like you got those double points against you, if you will, in perspective.
Yeah, that makes sense.
Hmm.
So I actually created a video about the Greys. It was probably like 3 months ago now, but somebody commented on it and just said that the contracts that the Greys have with humans are almost over, so we won't be seeing like these abductions and things like that. So are they almost over, or could you elaborate on that a little bit more?
And they're showing me that they have been somewhat neutralized and over. I mean, they still pop up but because there's so much a higher understanding that, like the other, like they were a gateway drug, a gateway alien. Like they're no longer really needed. People have so much more of an awareness. Like they do fly around our atmosphere. You do see them, but it's not an abduction type of thing. Like that contract is over. They're able to just focus on, because there have been so many. of the volunteers coming in. That's what they're showing me. The volunteers have contracts that they are willingly helping with, like consciously helping. There's a lot of volunteers that are consciously and aware of having a hybrid like breeding program going on. That they're carrying these consciously, they're carrying these beings in their physical womb here on earth, and that they have, and they know it. So there are a lot more willing contracts, like conscious contracts that are engaged, so they don't need to do it on such a subconscious level. And then the other galactic citizen or galactic galactic citizens, I guess, if you will, like the other collectives are now able to come in and help drive the galactic disclosure.
And what about the evolution of the Greys? So have the Greys figured out how to use the technology of the human body, or what is the future of their collective?
Yes, so they figured out how to use the technology of the human body, but they're also showing me that there's also, they figured out to do not a synthetic, a synthetic womb. And that actually, to create a synthetic womb to also drive they're saying they're not as efficient. Like they have a synthetic womb that can hold the baby, if you will, the fetus. But what's happening with that is that those fetuses aren't able to reproduce. So they can grow a body there, but it doesn't necessarily reproduce. So that's like they'd have to constantly use a synthetic womb. But with humanity, they're having great success in the new hybrids being able to procreate and to sustain life, to continue life. So it's more of an organic thing. Um,
So are you able to tell us any of the history of the Greys, of how they got themselves into this situation to begin with?
they became too imbalanced with technology. Technology became so overpowering that they used it for everything. And so by doing that, the body no longer like was able to reproduce.
So can you talk about kind of um did the Grey, like, what kind of bodies do the Greys have? So are they more kind of like a robot at this point? Like they made that decision to just push their consciousness into like that kind of body, or just a little bit more background on the Greys?
Right. So we're still like they're showing me like the using in parallel to what's going on is that when you don't evolve your species in alignment with like all of the materials you're given. So like if you're overbalanced in technology and not using your organic bodies, like you're trying to evolve too quick by relying on technology to do it for you, that the body naturally stops feeling a calling to do its job. So it's kind of like when you, as humanity here, when you stop working in alignment with your body starts to show signs of aging. So you start to, as a collective, you guys were able to live so much longer before, but you became off balance in mind, body, soul, technology, all those things. And so what it's showing is they used to be a very thriving society, but they became so involved in just the wanting it now, the now culture, I guess, of like wanting immediate gratification. And they realized, well, I can just push a button. I don't actually have to be in so much alignment with self, alignment within all of my natural gifts and capabilities. And so it was the immediate gratification that got them to, they wanted to evolve too quick and not in the rhythm and the harmony of what was like natural and in alignment. And so that's what got them into the situation. But they're like showing me even humanity, it's the same parallel of what humanity does. And what's happened in the cycles and understandings of humanity is that they want it all too quick. And especially this past jump in technology that we've had in the past 50 years, in that we're so off-sided in with technology, and the whole awakening is to get you back in balance. That the technology isn't bad, but you're not working in harmony with it. You're not using your own gifts and capabilities as well, and that the wanting the immediate gratification isn't necessarily such a good thing when you aren't also tapped into understanding that all of these gifts were given to you to be in harmony and balance. So there's a big parallel, and they're saying like that even you've seen in humanity that their 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 breeding programs, I guess is what they're calling it, that they're like humanity's not able to breed as much because a lot of the medication, instead of working with their body to heal, they're like, just take a pill, just do this. So then it causes their bodies to be out of alignment, and then it causes where there's an energetic buildup, and so that they're not working on, and so they're no longer able to produce, and they're having to use all these artificial things to stimulate them to produce, and to that it's not because you're out of alignment, you're evolving too fast with it, some things, and other things you're not like having it catch up with it.
Ooh, so all of these collective or all of these abductions with the Greys, are they also here to help teach us of the mistakes that the Greys made?
Absolutely, absolutely. And that, humanity is headed in that same direction. So it's helping be a gauge of where humanity's at, and like to awaken to where if we don't, like, yes, we're working with them genetically, but the fact that we're so genetically connected to them that they can use our DNA shows we're not far off. Like they're showing like, oh, they're showing the grays are us on a timeline where we didn't listen to that information.
Ooh.
That gave me chills.
It makes sense though. And it makes sense that there may still be human beings that go that route,
Right,
that
right.
make that choice. This conversation has been beautiful and it has definitely given me a different perspective. I would also love to talk about future hybrid programs. Is that something you want to do today or do you want to wait?
No, we can do that in the next session because I that'll be a very in-depth understanding.
Yeah, I feel like we could definitely do like 2 sessions on that.
They're giving me oh, they make me want to cry. They're saying thank you for helping us not be so misunderstood.
Oh, see, that's so beautiful because there are positive grays, especially the Zeta grays. I love the Zeta grays so much.
Yeah, they're real, they're really tiny little waists and big poochie bellies. They're kind of cute.
Well, while they have the floor, is there anything else that they would love to say?
They're just saying that they don't have regret. Like there's not regret because there's understanding that it's all purposeful and it's all layered as far as why this has to happen. But they also want the ability for humanity to make conscious different decisions, conscious decisions to just be consciously aware and consciously alignment, and not to that the technology is beautiful and exciting. They understand the excitement of it all and what worlds it opens up, but also to know that you are that technology as well. And so if you think that all that technology is wonderful, like open up your technology and imagine how much more understandings and powerful you can be. And they're saying that you're more powerful than that AI computer technology, that you're actually way more powerful, and if you just naturally evolve to empower that like they're showing me how cold it is, like how like sterile like all that technology is versus your human body, which is like this beautiful warm like technology, that the way they're showing it to me, like the difference between like, see which way do you want to go, and you can, and on all is wonderful, but like, do you want to have to, you love humanity, you love that connection, you love that skin to skin, you love that just hugs, all those things, like those are so important. And um there's urging us to be consciously aware in the decisions that we make.
Yes, and I love that because if anything, at this point, we should be thankful for the Greys because they're saying, we took this route. We don't want you to take this route. Look at what happened.
Right. Absolutely. Like they want more for us. They want more for the collective.
Amazing. Is there anything else that they would like to say?
No, they said thank you for allowing them to. They've been trying to come in for a little bit to have this session.
Amazing. And we'll talk to them next session also.
Like,
So thank
yeah,
you.
absolutely.